We've done it for every team of the season team so far. The concept is simple. Today, we're going to be ranking every single team of the season, LaLiga and Liga F player on FC24. If you guys want cheap, fast and reliable coins, make sure you head on over to MMOEXP.com and use my code Davis at checkout for 5% off your order. Coins are incredibly cheap right now with team of the season here, and being a lot better value than FIFA points, there's no better time to buy them. The links are at the top of the description. Now I know this tier list is a few days later than I usually do release the tier list with the team of the season releases, and that's simply because I was away on a little bit of a trip for the weekend, but we are back now. We are back to the usual business. We've got 39 La Liga / Liga F team of the season players here. That is including the SBCs and objectives that we have had released as of now. Of course, they could release some tomorrow, day after the video's out, and of course, they are not on this tier list. So if they do, let me know and I will respond with where I would put them in the tier, or which tier I would put them in. We've got S+ for the top elite cards, S for the very good cards, A+ for the good cards, A for the still solid cards, of course, B for the lower end, the cards that you don't really want, essentially. This used to be a S, A, B, C, D, and when I put a card into the B tier, there would be outrage, so we obviously changed it, and it gives a lot more context for the rankings, because just because I put a card in A+ doesn't mean it's a bad card. In fact, if I put a card in A+, it's a good card, but that's obviously a card in A+ comparing to the other S+ cards. So without further ado, boys, you've got the gist of it. Let's get into the ranking. Martin Prito, we're not necessarily starting insanely strong here. She's not bad. You can pick her up for only 25,000 coins. Her playstyle pluses are okay. She's 5'8" with amazing dribbling stats, but there are so many better options out right now. She's not going to be anything special. If you chucked her into your team, she might help you in the lower divisions, or if you are just starting on a road to glory. She's obviously not going to be a B card. There's probably only 1 or 2 B cards on this in this actual tier list, right? Because it'd be very hard for there to be a B card. So we'll put her into the A tier. She's still usable, and that should be the bare minimum for most team of the season or cards EA release now. They should be at the minimum usable. Nico Williams, his brother, Inaki Williams, is of course also on the list. You can pick him up for about 90,000 coins. It's a pacey winger. He looks nice. I don't mind his play styles. We're going to be putting him into the A+. I've got Danny Vivian here, who is going to be going into the A tier. We will put him ahead of Martin Prito. He is okay. I feel like he's missing that Anticipate playstyle plus. For me, it is still the best one. I also like the Slide Tackle playstyle plus, and of course, he's got neither. He's got the regular Anticipate and the regular Slide Tackle. I believe a regular Intercept in there as well. Solid agility and balance stats for a centre back as well. He doesn't look bad. He looks like a cheaper option. For only 20,000 coins, you can pick up an A tier centre back. Look, I think he looks good. If you're rocking a La Liga team, that's fine. I just think, obviously, comparing to other players, I wouldn't want to have him into A+ onwards, or upwards, I should say. Jude Bellingham, of course, is going to be going into the S+ tier. 9 million coins. It's not a small price to pay, but the card it looks like Bellingham should. Rodrigo, now, is minimum S, obviously, but I'm trying to decide S or S+. I think I'm going to put him into the S tier. Hey, look, obviously, you can debate to put him into the S+, but I think, you know, with the players we are planning on putting into the S+, I think S is definitely reasonable for team of the season moments. Rodrigo, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. I've got her name here. Teresa Abelera, maybe. She's just very short. She is 5'3". I was going to say kind of use her like a Kante, a very short CDM. Even Kante's a few inches taller than her. It's one of those cases where she looks good. She's got the Intercept playstyle plus, but 5'3". We'll put her into the A tier, and as I said, I think you've got potential with her. If she was taller, like 5'6", 5'7", I'd probably be putting her into the A+ tier, to be completely honest. But she is very, very short. She will not win an aerial duel at all. If you are using her in the midfield or as a CDM, I want to say, whatever you do, do not use her as a lone CDM. If you use her as a singular lone CDM, I'm sorry, but that's very silly to do. If you're using her in the midfield, you want to be using her in a double pivot and have a very tall player next to her to kind of compensate for the height in the midfield. Maybe a 4-2-3-1 with 2 CDMs. Have her as a CDM, right? She's 5'3". Have the other CDM, like a 6'2+ player, preferably, to make up for that aerial threat in the midfield. If you've got 2 two short CDMs or two short midfielders, holding midfielders, then yeah, that's not good. That is not good at all. So very short. If she was taller, should be in the A+, but nonetheless, she still looks very, very nice. Hamari Traore looks like a good League on right back. We're going to be putting him into the A tier as well. This Patry card, I'm not going to try to pronounce her last name, but Patry, she looks quite good. She's only 90,000 coins, so a very nice budget option. I'm going to be putting her into the A+ tier, and we'll put her actually ahead of Nico Williams. S tier, Camavinga, I'm going to be putting into the S tier for sure. Now, Joao Felix is where it gets a little bit tricky. He's obviously minimum S, and I would prefer him to Rodrigo, but would I prefer him so much to Rodrigo that I'd put him in the tier above? I'm not sure. I love Showdown Joao Felix. I have a brilliant return on my Showdown Joao Felix card. If Joao Felix does make the S+ tier, it will be towards the lower end of the S+, but he's definitely got a debate. We'll keep him at the highest end of S for now, but we may very well change that towards the end, okay? Alexia Portales will be joining Jude Bellingham in the S+, making up the second elite of the most elitist elite cards on the game. Now, Fekir, who you can get for only 13 wins. I say only, 13 wins is pretty tricky, but 13 wins in Foot Champs for free. You get yourself a 94 Fekir, and this card looks absolutely fantastic. I'm going to be putting him into the S tier, and we'll have him just over Camavinga as well. I believe he's got 98 dribbling, along with a finesse shot playstyle plus the left stick dribbling, find the position, or find an open shot, finesse that, mwah, beautiful. It will work absolutely amazing with him. Joao Cancelo, you can play him as a left back, you can play him, of course, as a right back as well. I'm definitely going to be going into the S tier, and we'll have him just over Camavinga, I reckon. Maybe, I don't know, between him and Camavinga, very close between the two. Sergio Ramos will be also going to the S tier. We're going to put him smack bang in the middle of Joao Felix and Rodrigo. Personally, I'd probably rather Sergio Ramos than Rodrigo, but it just comes down to the fact that I think it's harder to get a top tier centre back on the game than it is to get a top tier striker / winger, the type of role you'll be wanting to use Rodrigo. Omidi, we're going to be putting into the B tier. Nah, maybe the lower end of A. If we're ranking her as a centre back, she's B tier. If we're ranking her as a right back, because she can also play as a right back, she's A tier. She's only 5'5". Do not use her as a centre back. If you are going to use her, at least use her as a right back, and maybe if you switch to a free at the back in game if you're attacking, then she could maybe slot in as a right centre back. But 5'5" is way too short to have as for a centre back when you are using only a 2 centre back formation. As a right back, she's at the minimum usable. She has got some nice play styles. I will go through that. So the fact she's got an old position of a right back is going to put her into the A tier. If she could only play as a centre back, of course she'd be in the B. The only card on this list that should be making the B tier is Lola Gallardo. She is a 5'8" goalkeeper. You don't want to use a 5'8" goalkeeper, I promise you. She's also only got 75 reactions. 75 reactions you can see on Footbin. It is essentially how quick a goalkeeper reacts to the ball, or in general, that's what the reaction stat is, how quick a player reacts to a ball. Of course, as a keeper, you want nice reactions. 75, a bit average, along with her shortness, if you will, her 5'8". You don't really want to be using her as your goalkeeper. Aspilicueta, who I believe is for playing 13. Fekir, you have to win 13. Aspilicueta, you just have to play 13. And he does look quite nice. You can play him as a centre back or a right back, so you have the option. He's got good play styles that fit both the centre back or the right back. If you're using him as a right back, I think he'd be much better as a balanced or more defensive right back rather than an overlapping left back like, say, a TOTS Kai Havertz or something along those lines. He's a much more balanced and defensive-minded player. I'm going to be putting him into the A+ tier, I think. The fact he's a free card is very, very nice. You know, Simon, I mean, a keeper's a keeper. He's only got 77 reactions, but he is 6'3" and has got every goalkeeper playstyle that you can get. So we'll just put him into the A tier. We'll put him in like the smack bang middle of the A tier just to avoid contract. We'll put him towards the end. Look, he might be good in game. He might be awful in game. Goalkeepers are goalkeepers. We'll just put him towards the lower end of the A tier, right? Like, debate about that all you want, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a goalkeeper is a goalkeeper. Carvajal is going into the A+ tier. I really like the looks of this Carvajal card. In fact, I'd go as far to say underrated price-wise. I actually managed to get him from my team of the season, LaLiga guaranteed. He's not quite as good as that Showdown Lucas Vasquez. I think it might have been Showdown. No, it wasn't Showdown. It was just TOTS Alive Lucas Vasquez, or TOTS Plus, whatever. I think it was TOTS Alive. If you completed that Lucas Vasquez SBC, you could Evo him. He's gone up to a 94 now. I do think Lucas Vazquez is better than Carvajal, and Lucas Vazquez I would be putting into the S tier, but of course he goes under a TOTS Live player rather than a TOTS LaLiga. But yeah, that's just for the context. I'll be putting Carvajal into the A+. Afnia, I absolutely adored her card that she got. I can't remember what promo it was called, but you could basically just evo them. Starters an 82, you got her for free, and you could evo them up to a 90 rated or something along those lines, and I very, very much so loved that card. And I've not used this 94 TOTS card, but I would go as far to assume if I liked the 90 rated card a month or two ago, I think it was a couple months ago now, I'd very much like the 94. She's got solid playstyle pluses. Dribbling wise, the left stick with her is very nice. I'm going to be putting her towards the lower end of the S tier. This is, I'm going to butcher this name. I'm going to butcher his name. Dovvik? Sure about that one. Overall though, we'll be putting him into the highest end of the A, I think. Maybe the lower end of the A+. I mean, you can pick him up for only 25k. That's not to say that he's not going to be good. I don't think the price is the best indication to go off of when ranking and looking and playing with cards. He's got good playstyle pluses, including the finish shot playstyle plus, which I still think is one of the best playstyle pluses an attacker can have in the game. I mean, I don't know. Would I rather Azpilicueta in terms of the positions? I think I'll keep him in the A tier for now. I think I'm also going to move Petri above Carvajal. There we go. I like that. We'll keep Dovvik in the A tier, but you could debate for the A+. Antoine Griezmann is going to be going into the S+. We'll put him behind Bellingham, but ahead of Portales. This Griezmann card, 5 million coins. The price reflects how good and elite this card is. Finesse shot, of course, it is Antoine Griezmann. Of course, he's got that finesse shot playstyle plus. Rudiger. Now, I actually want to rank Rudiger and Araujo at the exact same time, because I was looking at these two centre-backs earlier, comparing them price-wise, going in-depth, looking at their playstyles, because I wanted one for my team, and it was close. It was very close, but I think I preferred Rudiger. They're both S-tier cards, so I'm going to put, I think I'd rather Ramos than both of them, though. But I'd put Rudiger, in fact, I think I'd put him behind Rodrigo as well. I'll put Rudiger just ahead of Araujo. I like that order. I do like the order of the S tier. I'd rather Felix out of any card in the S tier. I'd rather Ramos to Rodrigo. I'd rather Rodrigo to Rudiger and Araujo, but I'd rather Rudiger to Araujo. Bit of a tongue twister. If you could keep up, yeah, then you'll understand what I mean. But I like that order quite a lot of the S tier so far. Alex Garcia doesn't look awful, doesn't look great. He's going to be going into the A tier. We'll put him towards the higher end of the A tier. Another Girona player. So you could build a pretty nice Girona team. I say Girona team. Is there only 2 Girona players in here? I mean, a nice little link up. Pick up both Alex Garcia and Dovvik for only a combined 50,000 coins if you wanted to. Salma is going to be going into the higher end of the S tier as well. I think I'm going to be putting her just behind Joao Felix, but it might be a little bit of a controversial one, putting her ahead of Sergio Ramos. This card's inform is absolutely insane, or was absolutely insane, and I did play this 95 TOTS Salma in Foot Champs earlier, and to say she destroyed me, I couldn't keep up. I could not keep up with her. It felt like I was playing someone that was using the Mystery Ball speed and dribbling boost. That is what it felt like. Gundogan. This Gundogan card, I really like Gundogan because of his playstyle pluses. He's got 3 playstyle pluses, and I hope I can remember all 3 of them off by heart. One of them may be wrong, but I believe he's got a finesse shot playstyle plus. So if you're using him as an attacking type of midfielder, then and want to get that shot away, he's got the finesse shot playstyle plus. He's got tiki-taka for a more holding midfielder, and he's got an anticipate for a more defensive midfielder. So he's got his 3 playstyle pluses. They all fit. A playstyle plus for an attacking minded player, a playstyle plus for a midfield, like a box-to-box minded player, and a playstyle plus for a defensive midfielder. So he is the most perfect example of a box-to-box midfielder that you can possibly get, alright? I'm putting him into the S tier. I'm putting him over Camavinga. I'm putting him over Joao Cancelo. I think I just have him behind Fekir though. Isco, another one that's going to be making the S tier. We will have him ahead of Afnia, but behind Camavinga and Joao Cancelo. I do think Fekir does look quite a little bit better than Isco, but I think they're both S tier worthy cards. Bonmati is going to be going into the S plus tier. We'll put it behind Portales, but you can debate the order of these two for sure. Miguel looks like a very nice left back. Once again, kind of like similar to Carvajal, I think underrated in a word. I'm going to put him towards the higher end of the A plus. Savio looks good stats wise, but I feel like he is just missing a 5-star skills or 5-star weak foot. He's 4-star. And for me, I wouldn't say it's a game breaker, but it definitely doesn't have him in the S tier for me, just because he's 4-star. If he was 5-star, 4-star, or even 4-star, 5-star to add that unpredictability, then I'd rank him probably right next to Afnia, but he's not. So we'll be putting him into the A plus. He still looks nice though, of course. This card here, I'm gonna butcher her name. Alba Redondo, I think it is. Available as an SBC. Just underwhelming. It's an SBC that if you've got duplicate 83s, you'll just do it and probably just do it for 91 rated fodder. I'll be real. Doesn't look awful. We won't put her into the B tier, but we'll put her at the lower end of the A tier. We'll put her behind Martin Prito. I think Martin Prito does look better than her. Vinicius Jr. is going to be going. He looks okay. I think he's missing some key stats. We're going to put him into the A plus. I'm joking. Surely I got a few people there. A few people for a split second probably just clicked off that video straight away. Dropped it a dislike and left. Of course, he's going to the S+. I think I will put him behind Bellingham though. But they're definitely the top two. And if I look at the other cards here, they're definitely the top two cards. Oh, I say that. And I see Hansen's the next one. Hansen is also going into the S+. These are definitely the top three. Let me retract my previous statement. These are definitely the top three cards. You can debate the order of Bellingham, Vinicius, and Hansen. You can debate the order from 1 to 3. In fact, let me know down below. What is your order? What would you guys have Bellingham, Vinicius, Hansen? Order 1 to 3. For me, it is Bellingham first, Vinicius second, and Hansen third. Jules Koundé as an SBC, 500,000 coins you can pick him up for. He's an S tier card, 100%. Now, I don't think he is better than Araujo or Rudiger, simply down to his height and the fact he does not have a aerial playstyle plus or something like that. If he had an aerial playstyle plus, then he would be going up because it can compensate. He's not awfully short. I think he's 5'10", might even be 5'11". But I don't personally get along with the shorter centre backs. For me, centre backs have to be like minimum 6'1", preferably 6'2 plus, just to try and counter. And when you do play foot champs, the classic play the corner short and then they play it back post, you want as much tall defenders possible, tall players just in general possible, so you can obviously defend that. He still looks very good though, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he looks bad, he still looks very good. He can play as a right back as well, I think. But say like if you paired him up with a very tall centre back, and I was saying it earlier, it's harder to pair a small centre back with a big centre back. It doesn't work as well comparing to a small CDM and a taller CDM. That doesn't work as well because the centre backs is your last line of defense and you preferably want them to be as tall, as strong as possible. But Koundé still looks very, very good. He'd probably be the higher end of S, like along with Ramos if he was a little bit taller, but I'd still rather Rudiger and Araujo than Koundé. But he's still going to be in that, you know, that middle part of the S tier. Lewandowski, I've heard great things. I'm not going to lie, I've barely used him this game, okay? So this is probably the most inaccurate ranking on my behalf in this tier list is Lewandowski, because I don't think I've used one card of him this year. I think I would have in draft or something, maybe his inform. Actually, I think he did have a UCL card, right? Whether that be Road to the Final or something. But he is definitely a card I've not had too much experience with this year. But based on an educated guess, I would have to have him in the S tier, the higher end of the S tier. This is probably the most inaccurate ranking Lewandowski on this tier list for me, just because, as I said, that's just my era. I say my era, I've never had the opportunity, I've never packed a Lewandowski, nor have I never had the need to try a Lewandowski, but he does look very nice, of course. Inaki Williams, he is a free card you can get via objectives. I actually think it's a case of his brother, Nico Williams, for me, actually looks better than Inaki Williams. I think as a winger, you'd rather Nico Williams. As a striker, you'd rather Inaki Williams. But I think the playstyle pluses, the 80 balance, the 4-star for Inaki Williams wants me to put him in the tier below his brother. So we'll put him into the tier below. We'll put him into the higher end of the A tier, I think. And especially comparing to other strikers, comparing him to other available strikers in the game. I would rather them than Inaki Williams. He's nothing crazy, right? I think Nico Williams is a winger, you know, and it goes back to what I was saying before. It's harder to get a top tier or a solid meta winger, centre back, CDM than it is a striker, just because of the amount of attackers that we have got this year. Valverde, for me, Valverde is going into the S plus tier. I think I'd rather him than every player on this S tier. He's going to go towards the lower end of the S plus, but nonetheless into the S plus tier. And ending on Olga, who looks like a fantastic left back. She's going to be going into the S tier, and we're going to put her behind Kunde. In fact, we're going to put her above Kunde and above Fekir, but behind Rudiger and Araujo. I'm going to have a little bit of a fiddle around, ladies and gentlemen, but as of right now, I'm pretty happy with the ranking. As I said, I'll have a little bit of a fiddle round, a double think, a double comparison between a couple players. Yeah, I'll be back shortly. I only changed one thing, and that was the order of the A plus tier. I moved Patry ahead of Miguel and Savio. That was literally it. I'm very happy with this. I think this might be, and I say this every time, my last two tier lists, for team of the season tier list, Ligue 1 and Bundesliga, I'd say were probably my two least controversial ones, because towards the beginning of my tier list, when I did the TOTS Plus, the Premier League, there was controversy because, as I said, the tiers was, and it was my fault, I'll put my hands up, I had an S, A, B, C, D, right? And when I put a card into the B tier, people would assume I was saying that card was awful, but of course that was comparing them to the S plus players, right? Or the S players back then. So obviously I think this is a much better system. S plus, the elite of the elite cards. S of the elite, very good cards. A plus, the very nice cards, very good cards that you'd be pretty happy to pack and would make many teams. A for the usable cards, B for the avoid. I think that is a lot more context to the tier list, and since I implemented the S plus and A plus, there has been a lot less controversy. So let me know what you guys think down below. Joao Felix at the very top of the S for sure. I think you can debate Joao Felix in the S plus. You can easily make that debate, but otherwise I'm very happy with the players in the S tier. I'm happy with Rudiger and Araujo above Kunde. I'm happy with Fekir in this area as well, and I think it goes to show, I know I'm kind of yip-yapping a little bit now, but one last thing I want to say, it goes to show how good this Fekir card is, because he's a quote-unquote free card. If you're good enough to get 13 wins, he is ranked among players that are, you know, 500,000 coins on the market, so the fact you can get him for free. Lads, it has been your boy Davis. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.